Hey, so this last week has been pretty great. We're improving the game's visuals, and I'm really sort of surprised by how awesome it's looking. I, you get really used to something as you're working on it, and I kind of forgot that it needed all these things. So seeing these things in place, it's really starting to come together as a world. Um, we have textures on all the rocks now. It's nothing revolutionary there, but just having some basic textures in place really makes a huge difference on these environments and the infrastructure. Have this cement texture. I've also been going in and adding a bunch of sort of secondary growths to these plants that you can sprout, so they all have little, weird curly tendrils and things that come off of them. And I think the environments are feeling a lot more lush because we added these just made more growth for all the seeds that you sprout, and we added mushrooms and things in the foreground and background that weren't there before, little ambient hoppers. And in this case, because you're at the bottom of this waste chute, there's a dying alien that got dropped down the chute, and it's twitching. So we're really trying to figure out ways that we can make each environment feel unique like that. And the carcasses spasm at different rates, so we've spared no detail. Um, and I don't know. I'm really just quite pleased with how this is looking. This is stuff that people that play the game have been suggesting for a long time, and I was always kind of like, yeah, we'll get to that. And we did, but and there's still more to do. But I'm you know kind of surprised by how cool it looks. So um, I think it's easy to get in the frame of mind where you're so focused on the programming and gameplay that you can neglect the visuals. At least I can. So this has been a really fun week. I'll show you really quick. We've done the first few levels to this visual standard, and we're gradually going to be upgrading the other ones. It'll all be ready before the January 1st release up to this visual standard, but I thought I would at least show you some stuff in level 4 here because it looks pretty cool. So yeah, okay, so if I sprout these ectoplasm plants, now they're again more secondary growths. In the case of these, it's almost like trees you can grow. And we're taking better advantage of the backgrounds. So here I sprout this seed, and then it causes a chain reaction that makes some more growths occur in the background there. And that's another thing that one of the people that played through the game last suggested, and I think it's going to be really cool once we find more ways of utilizing those backgrounds. Another sort of trap for the programmer side of my brain is thinking that if something behaves one way in one situation, it should be consistent across the board, which is kind of true, but that's resulted in me limiting, like, oh well, you're not colliding with those plants in the background, so why should they sprout? But I think in some cases it's really worth it to just ignore the rules and have some cool visuals. So yeah, scripted event there. Yeah, spoiler here. I'm gonna show you guys something that maybe you want to figure out on your own. But the game has lots of secret areas, and there'll be more eventually. But right now there are at least a few. One of them is right here, and this is a cool example. I'm just show this because it's a good example of the backgrounds again. So there's plants in the background there. And when I sprout these plants in the foreground, it causes a chain reaction, and I think that's pretty fun visually. It's funny, I was working on this level and one of my friends sent me a Bob Ross video, and I thought it was funny because I was actually placing happy little trees throughout the game as I had that on in the background, and I hadn't watched Bob Ross in a long time, but it's strangely appropriate. I have no idea what Bob Ross would think of this, but something tells me it would be a little weird for him, but we don't know. He's a pretty accepting dude. Okay, well, that's all I've got for this week, but I'm gonna also include some content that Nick Huck has been working on. Um, he's been making some 3D models for the grotto, so I'll stitch those onto the end of this video. And hope you guys have a good week, and I'll see you next time.